I'm making this video with a flood of emotions. As a Jamaican living in Jamaica and working in every single parish in Jamaica I have worked in my career, it breaks my heart to see the devastation in one half of the country, basically. Where I live, we have not been affected in any significant way. Generally speaking, we were spared. And that is why when I was doing my videos before the hurricane landed, I was praying that it wouldn't, because as someone in the built environment and hearing all that was said, the magnitude and the intensity of the Hurricane Melissa, I knew that if it made landfall, that would have been very devastating for our country. I experienced my first hurricane, Allen, in 1980. I was double digits at that time, sensible enough to understand what was happening. I was living in St. Mary, and the northern part of the island was what was mainly, northeast was mainly affected. And I remember that as a child. I also witnessed Gilbert. I was in St. Catherine, and that was devastating. I was in the Kingston metropolitan region where I was able to see a lot of roofs that were lifted off. Since then, a lot of people put on new roofs. A lot more construction have been done. What I've seen in the western part so far shows me that regardless of your structure, it doesn't matter, because all those buildings down in the west and the south were not old buildings. New buildings were destroyed as well. So this thing is bigger than we can even comprehend. And so there's a lot to examine and unpack. And I'll be doing my own research into this to see how best as a nation we can be more prepared, if we can be even more prepared, because this is different. This seems to me like a hurricane with a tornado, both in one. I don't see this as a hurricane alone, because it passed all the measurement scales, it burst those scales, and it's something else. So it has to be two in one. To me, it looked like it's a hurricane and a tornado. I took a trip out to St. and I have vested interest there, and the way via the toll road is relatively good. A few fallen trees and so forth, and they do their best to clear them, most of them. But that route basically was spared. I was able to see much more housing communities from the highway, because a lot of the trees were so battered, the leaves gone and so forth. So you could see the outer impact of the wind even through that area. And I'm triggered by it in the sense that I just feel the pain of the people looking from here and trying to figure out, how as a country we are going to get this back together. Because whether we are personally directly impacted by the hurricane or not, we will all be impacted as the time go along. Already 75 to 80% of the country is without electricity and most other services, internet, cable and water. So it will be a long haul. Some of the services provider, like the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, electricity company, said that some of the systems will have to be a complete rebuild. So some places will not get back electricity within the next 3 months. That's what I heard the communication lady said, if not more. So this will be a long haul. And so we all have to pull together as a country. So I'm encouraging everybody to reach out and do what you can do. Make sure that you're reaching out to reputable organizations like Food for the Poor and the Red Cross, and the government has a program running if you are interested in that. So, but make sure that you find legitimate sources to send your resources to. I'll be saying more, especially as it relates to the built environment and construction, giving my own perspective and my recommendations. But for now, just let's pray for our country and our people. The people are really, really suffering. The more I see the news, is the more my heart breaks, and I just don't feel like I can move on with the kind of energy right now. For now, until people start seeing some way forward. Let's continue to pray.